Today on the show, we have Nancy Huser, OHV Law Enforcement Specialist for Arizona Game and Fish, and Debbie Wood, the ER Outreach Educator for Summit Healthcare. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you here because we're going to talk about some good parenting skills, I think, especially when you see the little kids on here. So first, let's just, I did introduce what you guys, your positions with your agencies, but what do you do in those positions? I'll start with you, Debbie.
We like to go out and teach basically trauma prevention. Anytime we can prevent any little child from coming to the ER for an injury is, a win for us. So whether it's helmet safety to, playing with matches, anything like that with a safety message, we go out and try to keep that awareness for those little guys.
So you're going into daycares, into schools, into home school, anything like that?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
We do that.
That's good. And then Nancy?
Okay, so we do regular patrols. So we're out looking for off-highway vehicle situations or issues, and try to make people be safe and responsible while they're out riding by enforcement. And we also do go to schools and do talks to the kids and explain helmet safety and requirements. And different events where, like Fall Festival and things like that, we'll have a booth set up, and then people can come and learn OHV safety.
Awesome. And OHV, I had to ask you earlier, stands for?
It's off-highway vehicles.
Okay.
And that encompasses ATVs, UTVs, and motorcycles or dirt bikes.
Okay. So, all right. So on-road and off-road, whatever.
Correct.
With that. Okay. And then, so today we were talking about helmets.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And I see that you brought 3 different styles of helmets.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Debbie wants to start off by showing us an example of what happens if you're not wearing a helmet, and then we'll discuss the types of helmets that will help prevent that.
Perfect.
This is what we do when we go into the schools. And for example, in October, we do our big safety village. We go into all the schools and talk about helmet safety is what I've done. Forest Service talks about different subjects. But we like to use our little helmet head guys. This one we put in a raw egg, which what does the inside of our head have? Our brain. So the raw egg represents the brain and the damage that can happen to any time, and it's not just OHV, off-highway vehicles, but we have bicycles, we have skateboards, we have horses, that especially in our rural area, that we see head injuries from the ER. And not only horses, we still have a little bit of snow left on the mountain, so we're getting head injuries from skiing and snowboarding accidents also. So there's just a wide range of helmet awareness that needs to be out there for multiple activities. But this little guy, we did put a raw egg in. So we're going to have you help us, Allie. So you get to drop the head, and this is going to represent what happens to someone that whether they fall, they hit a tree, they get ejected off of an ATV or their bicycle, and their head hits the ground. This is what can happen to their brain that's inside their head. Okay, so let's see what happened, Allie. I have to use my muscles to open this little guy. Okay.
Oh dear.
So this is your brain when you don't wear your helmet.
I'm so glad you used the bag. Do you see that?
So that's possible brain damage, and not even just brain damage, but concussions. We have all the different levels of concussions that kids and even adults, we all suffer when we have those head injuries. So this is a great example of why we should wear helmets. And Nancy's got the helmets that we're looking for.
So with spring and summer coming upon us now, Debbie talked about the skiing accidents and things like that can happen needing helmets. Well, now we're getting into spring and summer, horseback riding more, ATV riding, bicycle riding, okay? So So life can change in an instant. I mean, you go out for a little ride, a quick ride, and you're not expecting an accident to happen, and accidents just happen. So what the law says, we kind of recommend that everybody wears a helmet when they're riding on an ATV, UTV, or motorcycle, and that's kind of what I'm directing to. But as like Debbie pulled out or threw out too, is horseback riding and things like that. I mean, it's very important that you have a helmet on because you don't know what that 1,000-pound animal is going to do. So back to the ATV stuff. We recommend that everybody wears a helmet when they're riding. We have policy that says we have to wear helmets when we're riding. But if you're under 18 years of age, the law requires you to wear a helmet, okay? And not just any helmet. I mean, here's a picture, or here's a bicycle helmet, okay? That's going to protect you in case you have an accident on a bicycle, all right? But it's not going to protect you if you're riding an ATV, UTV, or motorcycle, okay? They're not built, they're not that sturdy for that. So the law sets out that we have helmets that are made or that are approved by Department of Transportation. It says DOT on the back, DOT. When we teach the kids at Safety Village, we ask, what's the magic word on the back of your helmet? When you get your helmet, what do you got to look for? Oh, that it fits, number one, and number two, that it has DOT written on the back, okay? As you can tell, this helmet, the bicycle helmet, it does not have that special word or secret word for them to remember. So the Department of Transportation says that this helmet will protect your head in case of an accident or being thrown from an ATV, UTV, or motorcycle. When I keep saying UTV, that's like a side-by-side, so it's something that you're going to sit in like a car, okay? It has a seat belt. You should wear those. And then kids have to have their helmets on. So this is an open-face helmet, and then this would be a full-face helmet, okay? Eye protection is required for anybody riding or operating an OHV, so you can wear goggles like this one has on it, and it actually will fit on any helmet, so the universal. But also eye protection is going to be your sunglasses. So if you're the operator, you have to have sunglasses or some type of eye protection on to protect your eyes so that you're not getting dust and particles in your eyes from riding. So when we're out doing patrols, that will be one reason that you will see us making our stops on ATVs and motorcycles and especially UTVs. I mean, it's fun to put the kids in them and take them out for a ride, but that 1 second, that one instant that everything seems to be going fine, and you don't have to even be doing speed. There's no speed involved usually in most of these accidents. They're just turning or getting into a rut or a vehicle coming at you and you're trying to avoid them type of thing, and it just takes a second. So keep your kids protected. That's the main thing. We do not like Debbie says, when she has to deal with kids coming into ER, we don't like to see them in the field either. So protect your children.
Definitely. And then you talked about anybody under the age of 18, it's required. So what does that happen if a parent has a kid out there and doesn't have a helmet? What do you usually do? So
what we'll do is we'll stop you, maybe a citation, maybe a written warning, but we'll try to rectify the situation. We'll take the child and we'll say, hey, we're going to follow you back to your camp. We're going to put your kid in our vehicle and then drive you back or drive your child back so that kid isn't exposed to the situation or a potential accident.
Yeah.
So, and then we just tell you, don't come back out because we're out there watching. And you got to think too, I mean, even if you don't intentionally want to go out and cause harm or injury to your child, it can happen. I mean, you are responsible for your kids and you need to be riding responsibly and teaching them the right way. Because as they get older, they're going to want to do it themselves. And if you look at most of the machines, they say not recommended for somebody under 16 years of age. And a lot of times it's because the machine is too big or too powerful for a child. They're riding an adult machine, and they need to be age specific. And they make them. I mean, they make them for kids and stuff like that.
Well, and the UTV is the speed that you can get up on a UTV compared to a bicycle is very dangerous. I don't know how high they go in speed, but kind of like a car.
80 miles an hour, which seems really crazy. But
on dirt because it's just so good gripping, right?
and the tires are unpredictable. I mean, you're not driving on street tires, on street pavement. You're driving on unimproved terrain, and you're driving like knobby tires, So you hope that it's going to keep you where you need to be, but
I like how you say unimproved terrain. I mean, nobody goes out there and fixes the terrain. I mean, you don't know what to expect.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, with springtime coming, antler hunters are out looking for antlers. People are out enjoying finally getting a chance to get back in the woods and stuff. There's a lot of ruts in the road now. There's trucks and vehicles go in and they make those deep ruts and then they dry because right now it's super dry out there. And that's where your vehicle is going to have unimproved terrain where you're not expecting it. We don't expect you to go off road because we prefer that people protect the environment, and don't go off road and don't go rutting up places and things that they shouldn't be doing. I mean, there's plenty of roads and trails out there to stay on, to be responsible. So, and that keeps those trails open, because once you start causing those, resource damages, that's when we start losing the ability to go out and enjoy, the forest as we like.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Debbie, and you see a lot of these in the ER. People
They end
coming
up in the ER, unfortunately. And like Nancy said, most of the time it's those that, a lot of them come up for the weekend. We have a 3-day weekend. We're here with family. We have a reunion. So we have a bunch of family members together and maybe only 1 or 2 helmets. But we have 5 or 6 vehicles, or 5 or 6 people or kids in the vehicle with only 1 or 2 helmets. And it's that one bump, it's that one turn. It's just like Nancy said, just that moment that makes that difference. And so being prepared. And one thing that I wanted to mention is, so a lot of adults will say, oh, I have a helmet here, wear my helmet. And that's not necessarily going to work also, because the helmet needs to fit nice and tight and right. And, you know, strap it nice and tight to, for it to fit, so that it doesn't get, you know, where it doesn't fall off.
Well, and
they
you have to
wreck.
think about
Yeah.
their necks too, is depending on the size of the child. That's a lot of weight
Exactly.
to do, and that
Exactly.
puts them further in danger.
So a lot of them think that they're protecting that child, but then when they think they're protecting them, and they let their guard down. So granted, the helmet doesn't fit right, and it, like you said, the heaviness on it can cause more damage, when in reality they really think they're helping them, but they're not. So they need the right size helmet for each of those passengers.
And you said something like the right helmet tight. Is there a thing that you guys follow, or?
We always, when we go out to the schools, we talk to the kids. We put it on nice and, you know, a nice fit, nice and tight. Set it, and we strap it right.
Yeah.
Is what we do. So it always makes sure we Velcro. So like this little guy here, we'll actually, if you don't mind, here's our other egg. So this is what we're going to get. Hopefully, you know, our goal is why we're wearing those helmets, is we put our brain back in our head, right? And I got to use my muscles here. So we'll put that helmet back on. And then talking about the strap, if I can get it on, it's not wanting to go on. Sometimes, so in real life, when our helmet doesn't go on right, we make sure the wires are not going on right. It's got to fit our head, okay? And we've got it on. We've got our straps pulled down below our chin, nice and tight, and strap it right. That's what we tell the little guys when we go to the schools, so that when they're riding their bikes or their skateboards, their scooters,
Hoverboards now.
Yes, hoverboards. They're, you know, all those things that are out there. I don't know why this one. Of course it wouldn't.
I'm nervous to have to drop another kid.
No, don't do that. But we know how to take care of that if it happens.
True.
Okay, so do you
All
want
right.
to try it?
Yeah.
This is what our goal is to, and the kids love this, because they actually see what happens when they don't wear their helmet and when they do. Okay, so you can see how the helmet did have a little looseness with the fall when you're dropping it, but the straps were nice and tight and kept it on his head. So here's
the tell-all.
Here is the tell-all. Let's loosen our strap here. And the straps are not that hard to take off on normal helmets. It's a little easier. So.
Oh, you can still cook it.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay, so even just a slight head injury versus, you know, to a concussion to a major head injury, this is a great example that, you know, proves how important a helmet is, to wear it nice and tight and fit, you know, fitting it right. So the kid, like I said, when the kids see this, they love that, because then they're like, "Why I need a helmet?" So we always tell them, go home and tell mom and dad, make sure you wear the helmet. And the kids will say, a lot of them will say, well, it's not cool to wear a helmet. And the other kids are awesome. They'll counter back and say, well, you're even smarter and even cooler if you do wear the helmet. So if we can get that message out there that it is cool to wear a helmet.
Yeah, a helmet should be a habit. And
absolutely.
And we do that with our children. I'm proud to say that my kids, they know they're not allowed to be on their bike or on a scooter or anything, without a helmet on, and their helmets fit, and they have cool helmets. My daughter has one that has like a mohawk on it. She loves it. It's pink mohawk. And so I mean, you can find fun things for kids to wear. And my 2-year-old just started riding her boot scoot, and she has a helmet that she wears, and always, mommy no pinch, mommy no pinch. So make sure as a parent,
Nice and tight, but no pinching.
yeah, don't pinch them, because we've done that before. But it's important to me that they see that. And then kids watch parents, and my husband rides, I ride, and every time we ride our motorcycles, helmets on, and we do full face.
Right.
My husband's got called Birdman, not because he has any bird in his bloodline, but he's been hit several times, over 100 times by birds riding his bike, and he's been hit a couple times in the face. And you look at people, especially in the motorcycle industry, who aren't wearing helmets, you start to see the pitting in their face because of the gravel. Don't want to miss this. Oh yeah,
nice,
you can know who doesn't wear a full face helmet, or usually those, we call them the brain buckets, where they just wear the little the top hat or whatever you want to call it, and it drives me crazy when I see people. In fact, I was driving on to Concho last week, and there was a woman, and a bunch of bikers were around her, and I looked back, and there was no helmets on any of them, and I'm sure she got into the gravel. I'm just assuming got into the gravel, laid her bike down, hit her head. I mean, and like you showed here,
To something.
that's a
simple.
serious. That's a serious egg break.
That is a serious. The doctors are going to have a hard time putting that one together.
Yeah. Humpty Dumpty's not coming
No,
back
no.
from that.
That's right.
And that's what the thing is. These injuries, they think that, oh, you just a little fall, especially on a bike. My sister learned a really weird way that a helmet was important. We grew up in Pine Top Country Club, and she was riding her bike, and she got hit with a golf ball in the head while she was riding, and she didn't have a helmet on. And boy, did she have a big bump on her head. But I remember, I'll never forget, she came running home, and she was crying because she thought my mom and dad were going to get in trouble because she got hit in the head with a golf ball. And so ever since then, helmet, because
Exactly.
you don't know what's going to fall out of the sky, obviously, now,
Exactly.
when you think about it. But some of these falls create pretty significant injuries, and there might be a minor fall. I mean, you talked about horses, and I never would have thought helmet and horse. You don't really see that. You don't see it often, so you don't think that.
You don't, but it's so easy to fall off the horse if you're a novice, or even get bucked off. And even just in the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of horse accidents come into the ER with head injuries, and they got bucked off the horse. So it's that time of year, they're getting out more. It's summer, people are getting out more on their horse, their ATVs, bicycles, mountain biking, all that stuff. And so that awareness, we want to try to get that awareness out to let's put those helmets on.
Yeah, I sometimes can't fathom how people would just be like, I'm going to get on a motorcycle and have my bandana on, and that's it. Or I'm going to send my kids around the block, because with texting and driving today, people aren't paying attention. And I saw a report came out where they're talking about how more people are wearing seatbelts, but still less people, more accidents aren't changing. It's because less people are paying attention to the road.
Distracted drivers. Exactly.
And those are some horrific accidents. And you got to think, if you're a biker, and whether it's a motorcycle or just a bike on the side of the road, a cyclist, they're not paying attention to you, and they're bigger. And
Exactly.
you're not going to win that. That you're going to get hurt pretty significantly. So if they made bubble wrap in little, size 2 clothes, my kids would have it.
In bubble wrap. Right. Well, we all are pretty confident in our skills of driving or bicycling or riding an ATV. But it is, like Nancy was saying, it's that one moment where you just hit that wrong rock, or the distracted driver that comes out at you that we don't have control of. And it's those instances that we don't have control of where we need to be prepared. And that's like how you set your family up with that protection.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, with these helmets, is there a special place? I mean, we're a small rural area, but there's places you can get this on the mountain, I'm sure.
There are. Actually, Walmart sells helmets. They're all
Okay.
different sizes
Even
of helmets.
DOT helmets, or?
DOT helmets,
Wow.
correct. Shola Motorsports
Okay.
has helmets in their facility. And a lot of things too is like when visitors, and we were discussing visitors coming up, because it is going to be summertime here shortly, and all of our holidays that come around. And even when you're driving in town, people think, oh, I'm just going to run to Safeway or something to get a few things. You see it all the time. You see kids in UTVs, side by sides especially, that aren't wearing a helmet, and a lot of time it is the visitors coming up. So it's good awareness, and I think that all the different like motels and hotels and resorts and stuff up here should put like little notices in their newsletters and things like that, or their welcome to our area thing, and say, hey, if you do bring your UTV or side by side up here, and it's fine to travel with your family in it, but just make sure your children have helmets, because it doesn't matter. We're not only chasing people in the woods. I mean, it's anywhere. It's anywhere on public or state land that kids have to have helmets on.
Well,
So
yeah, and
so
as a parent,
it's
lead
kind
by
of
example.
important. Yeah.
One of the big questions that I get when I go out to the schools is, well, my mom and dad don't have the money to buy a helmet. So we talk about ways they can earn money to buy a helmet. Walmart sells them very reasonable price. So we talked about doing chores and how to earn money for that helmet. But also, Summit Healthcare has their health fair June 10th on that Saturday, which they are giving away the bicycle helmets as one of the things. So we'll be talking helmet safety again, and we do have access to those bicycle helmets for
awesome.
for kids.
The next time a kid says that, be like, well, do your parents have enough money to cover your hospital bills?
Exactly.
They don't quite understand that, but that's the first thought that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Yeah.
So it's just try to get them an idea in their head of how important it is and what they can do to get them one and to help them get one.
Yeah, because if the head injury is significant enough, they're flying, and they're going down to the valley, and that's
well, you can
good
have
chunk.
lifelong injuries,
I
from it. Yes.
I know a guy who riding a motorcycle didn't have a helmet and hit an elk, and he was a vegetable now. And this was when I was in high school, an older gentleman, and it's just like you said, you don't know what to expect.
Right.
It's great to get up and say, I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to ride well. That's great. But you don't know your surroundings and what's going to be out there. And then you'd brought up, blown tires. A blown tire on a bike's going to throw you.
Right.
Or, even an ATV, if you don't have, your seatbelt, or if you're not holding on, whatever. You talk about the ruts. I mean, you don't go out thinking you're going to get hurt.
No,
of course not.
No. You're riding your horse. You don't know what's going to startle that horse.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. So there's just those instances that you need to be prepared for.
Yeah, it's that one short ride that you think is just a short ride. It's only going to take I'll only be out for a half hour or something, and then something happens.
Don't
So,
they say you accidents usually happen a mile away
Yep.
from your home?
Exactly.
That's something
It's when
to
your
think about.
guard's down. Something usually happens. Yeah.
You get complacent. I know my mom knows that her horse is the mud monster. Mud monster wants to get her horse, and so she makes sure she has a helmet, because anytime there's mud, it's like, ah! It's nice to know that and make sure that you can prepare for that. But
Exactly.
Now, and you actually have a pamphlet too here.
Yeah, these brochures, they're at Game and Fish has them.
Oh, cool.
I think MVD, Desert Title carries them. The Shola Motorsports carries them. Required, and it's just something that your OHV decal. When you ride an OHV, you have to have a decal on it, and that decal money goes to our being able to go out and do these type of talks and things like that, putting these brochures out, our enforcement efforts that we do and everything. So I mean, they're very handy books. They tell you what you need to have on your machine to make it legal. If you want a street legal machine, which is a motorcycle plate on it, which allows you to drive in almost any area, any improved road. And in the two-track type of roads, the RV plate, recreational vehicle plate, you can't drive on, like, let's say the Greens Peak Road or the 300 road, or any of those big maintained roads, but you can take two-track roads. But every vehicle in Arizona, every off-highway vehicle is registered. Okay, so that's why the decal is important to have and stuff like that. And one of the other things that's off-highway vehicle would also include a snowmobile, but you can't register snowmobiles in the state of Arizona. So without the ability to register them, there's no OHV decal. But it is an off-highway vehicle, and most people wear helmets when they're riding those machines because of the speed and if their accidents occur. So the main thing, like on all these type of things too, is this book will give you safety tips, rules to follow. If there's a violation, it'll tell you what to not do. So you're not getting in trouble and stuff. But it's always good to let somebody know where you're going, in case something does happen. If you're not, if you're not back by evening time or something like that, they're going to say, oh, they went out to Greenspeak, so we know where to go, at least start looking for them.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. Carrying a first aid kit with you, carrying water and food and stuff like that. And this brochure just kind of gives you checklists and ideas. On the back there's a checklist and stuff of just everything you can think of, hopefully that will help you have a safe and enjoyable trip, while you're out riding. So, but yeah, these are all over. Feel free to, contact Game and Fish. They're there at the office. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And you said June 10th is the event?
Is the healthcare.
Is the healthcare
yes,
event.
Under the big tent.
At
They're
Summit
in the
Healthcare.
in the parking lot at Summit Health.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much. This was great information. And thank you for watching Safe and Sound. We'll see you next month.